Hey guys, what's going on? This is Deadly. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov guide video, and today we are going to be covering Peacekeeper Tasks 9 through 23, the all remaining tasks as of patch 0.5.3. So let's get started. So last video, we left off at Spa Tour Part 2 completed and the Cult Part 1 completed. Before we get started with today's task, I'm going to be including a item list in the description box below with all of the gather trade items that you need to collect from Shoreline and other maps, so if you guys are confused, and that also includes keys that you need to complete the tasks. So we're going to start the video off by checking out Spa Tour Part 3, which requires you to find a WD-40 can, 100 milliliters, 3 Clin Wipers, which are basically window wipers, 3 hoses, and 3 bleaches. So it actually was a little confusing. It used to say insulated tape, but since I'm starting this video, the developers have actually fixed it. Now, we're going to start off from the top down. So I was able to get my WD-40 can from a scav backpack, but it does spawn in duffel bags and filing cabinets. It's a little bit more rare than some of the other items, which is why you only need one of them. I have never seen a small can of WD-40 sitting on an industrial shelf or in a toolbox. So I believe it can spawn there, but just for the sake of this video, I got it from a scav backpack, and I've also seen them in duffel bags. I also wanted to mention that I frequently have found these little WD-40 cans in the marked circle on woods. Now for the window wiper, the Clin Wiper, the bleach, and the hoses, all of these items can spawn in duffel bags. So in the western wing of the health resort, there is a lot of duffel bags on level 1, 2, 3, and then especially in the basement. And I specifically got the vast majority of my hoses from the workout room below the health resort. I actually got like 4 of them, and because you're going to need more later down the road. Now, for the hoses, the bleach, and the wiper fluid, also the northern wing of the health resort has all sorts of industrial shelves, and I found a lot of the bleach there too. Also, in the center area where the west wing sort of meets the east wing, there's storage shelves and storage lockers, and like storage rooms too, that all have these shelves that have potential spawn points for these items. Once you've collected all the items for Spa Tour Part 3, turn in the task and accept Part 4. This is going to require you to go and find 2 generator rooms in the health resort. The rooms you want to go to is 220 on the eastern wing and 220 on the western wing. Now 220 on the east wing doesn't require you to have any key, so you can walk in, explore the room, and complete that part of the task. On the western side of the resort though, you do need a key. So this key actually spawns on Shoreline, not 100% of the time, but it is a static spawn. You want to go to the second estate building on Shoreline and go to the back mudroom. On the wall there's going to be like a key rack. In the key rack spawns key 220 for the western wing. So grab it. If it's not there, do another Shoreline raid until you get it. I also found my 220 key in the backpack of a scavenger. Most of the new health resort keys do spawn in scav backpacks and pockets, but they're a little bit more on the rare side. So you can't necessarily rely on that because most keys, not all, but most of them have their own unique spawn points, which makes it a lot easier for doing these tasks. Once you acquired your key and checked out both the generator rooms, turn it in to accept Spa Tour Part 5. Now, Spa Tour Part 5 is really easy. All you have to do is go to the northwestern concrete bunker, which is the old bunker extraction. Inside, there's going to be a key sitting on a chair. Grab the key, leave Shoreline, turn it into Peacekeeper. Pretty straightforward. For Spa Tour Part 6, this one is also fairly easy, but if you don't have a whole lot of money, you're going to have to actually farm some. You're going to have to hand over 7,500 USD to Peacekeeper. That's all you got to do. Turn in the task whenever you get the money. So the last available task for the Spa Tour series requires you to collect a bunch of items again. You need 10 Morphine Injectors, 5 surface washers, 5 hoses, even though it says insulating tape, it still is hoses, and 3 Propane Tanks. Now the 10 Morphine Injectors, I happened to be level 35 at the time, and I had the proper reputation with Therapist. So I purchased all of my Morphine Injectors. But if you don't have Therapist level 4, then any medical bag, duffel bag, and anywhere where medicine can spawn it spawns. I've also found morphine in room 220 in the western wing and in 216. There's a few medical spawns there, so you might get lucky. But there's a lot of medical bags in the western wing of the health resort, and it's honestly the best place to look for any medication, and that includes therapist tasks, and it's kind of worth me redoing some of those videos and something I'm going to consider down the road. Now for the 5 surface washers, hopefully by this point you've actually been collecting them, because at the beginning of the video I sort of mentioned that you should be keeping an eye out for them. So these surface washers, they're little green jugs that sit all over industrial spawns. So on any of the shelves, very similar to the wiper and the bleach and the hoses. So anywhere you can get any of those items, you can find these surface washers. I found it actually quite easy, even though you need 5 of them. There were times on Shoreline that I left with 2 or 3. So I also found a lot of my surface washers in the northern wing in the health resort. So around like the offices on the shelves, I periodically found them there. Now for the propane tanks, it's a little bit more tricky because I haven't been able to find any of them spawning in the health resort itself. I have heard that the yellow house on Shoreline, where you can spawn in one of these scav extractions, inside on top of the fridge, periodically spawns a propane tank. Also on the factory, on the top level next to the safe, in the safe room, on the desk, I got a propane tank. And then also scav backpacks spawn propane tanks. Also room 105 in the dorms on customs, I have seen some propane tanks there. It shares all industrial spawns. It's just really rare. I was actually very lucky though to get all 3 of my propane tanks on the same day. So if there's going to be any challenge for you here, it's probably going to be finding those. After you collected all those items, turn in the task and you're actually rewarded with a factory exit key. So if you haven't been able to find one of these, you can actually just complete the spa tour series to get it. But given the amount of items you needed to collect up to this point, I'm sure you've probably found it, because some of these items can be pretty tedious and might make you searching for days. Once you turn in Spa Tour Part 7, you're going to get 2 new tasks, Cargo X Part 1 and Wet Job Part 1. So for the sake of the video, we're going to be starting off with the Wet Job task series. So the first task, you just need to go and kill 10 scavs on Shoreline and then collect 10 dog tags. I just went to the factory to collect all of my dog tags. It doesn't matter where you pick them up. It doesn't need to be Shoreline. Once you have everything, turn it in and accept Wet Job Part 2. Now you're going to have to buy another beacon from Pratbor, because you're going to have to go to the treasure island, is what we call it, on Shoreline to find a fisherman's dwelling. Now before I tell you where you plant the beacon, there is a key that is going to be sitting on one of the tables that are on the island, in the center of the island out in the open. You need to grab that key. It's key 328. If it's not there, come back another time and try to find it. Next, make your way to the cabin on the island. Inside one of the back rooms, the one that's opened up and faces the ocean, you're going to have to leave your beacon. So once you plant it, survive and exit Shoreline, you've completed Part 2. Now for Part 3, you have to find a car on the highway, a yellow car that's crashed into the bus. So if you get the tunnel side on Shoreline that leads kind of down towards the gas station, you'll see this yellow bus and this yellow car that are crashed in the middle of the highway. That car is where you need to go and search. Apparently you need to copy down the license plate number, but you just got to get close enough to the vehicle and then it just kind of checks itself and survive and exit the raid. Now for Wet Job Part 4, you need to go to the Shoreline's health resort in the northern wing. So there's some offices on the top level of the north wing, and sitting on one of the desks in the most northern office, the most northeastern office, there will be a little flash drive sitting on the table. Grab the flash drive and then hand over the list to Peacekeeper. Now for Wet Job Part 5, remember that 328 key I made you pick up on the island on Shoreline? You gotta bring it in with you this time. In the East Wing 328, which is one of the last doors on the eastern side, open it up, and sitting on top of the computer is going to be a hard drive. Grab it and survive and leave the raid to turn it into Peacekeeper to accept Wet Job Part 6. So at the time that I'm making this video, Wet Job Part 6 is bugged. It requires you to reach level 7 in the sniper rifle skill tree, which is going to take you a very long time. In 38 hours of in-raid time, I only have level 8 assault rifle skill, so it's going to take you a long time to complete this if it's not bugged. However, currently as a patch 5.3, you just need to go and kill one scav or one player, and then that's it. And then you're actually able to turn in this task, get 3,500 USD, and a suppressed sniper rifle. There is a additional part, if you read the actual task text, it kind of suggests that you have to go in for your own PvE mission, but I don't know if they're going to be introducing that this patch or if it's going to be something we'll see down the road, but it is currently unavailable. Alright, now we're going to focus on Cargo X Part 1. So you need to find cargo record in the computer room and hand it over to Peacekeeper. So you're going to need a key called 306. Now, surprisingly, you're going to have to go to Customs to find 306. So there's 2 spawn points for this key. One in the customs office in the big red tin building, so you're going to need a customs key to open it up. And once you go into the customs office, it's going to be sitting on the desk where the safe is. So loot that. If it's not there, it's also spawning in the cabinet room at the gas station at the midpoint on customs. Also requires you to have a key. So if you don't have customs or cabinet, you're gonna have to get one of those two, and then you're gonna have to continually go to those locations until 306 spawns. Once you have the 306 key, go to the east wing in the health resort and open up the door. Sitting on one of the chairs is going to be a briefcase next to the computers. Grab it and survive and leave to turn it in to complete the task. For Cargo X Part 2, you're going to have to find the room with the reservoirs. Now this is in the east wing in room 108. It's a giant 2-door room with a bunch of blue containers. Inside, you're going to automatically find the room and complete that task, but sitting on top of some of the blue containers is going to be a documents holder on the eastern side of the room. So grab that, and that's going to be the second part of the task. Turn it in to accept Cargo X Part 3. Cargo X Part 3 is by far the easiest task that you have for Peacekeeper. All you need to do is go to the west wing in the health resort and go into the basement, and in the pool room you're going to see a hole in the wall. Just walk over to that hole in the wall, look in, and then you complete the task. You got to survive and leave, and congratulations, you've completed the Cargo S task series. Now the last task that I'm going to be talking about today is the Cult Part 2. You actually accept this really early on, and we did the Cult Part 1 in the last Peacekeeper video. The reason why I needed to leave it to the end and complete it the last is because it requires you to have the marked key, which is one of the rarest items in the game at the time that I'm making this video. I highly suspect that in a few days they will be adjusting the key spawns to make it much easier to find this key, because you need it, or you need to know somebody who has it to complete this task. Well, that's not necessarily true. I also want to mention you could just wait for a random person to open up the marked room, but since the key is so rare, the odds of that happening are pretty slim, and you're probably going to have to spend at least an hour waiting for people to open up that door. But anyway, let's get into what you actually have to do. So, the beacon on the ritual spot on Woods, it's a circle that is in the middle of the woods to the west of the blue tin in the lumber camp. So my suggestion for those that are having a hard time finding this, walk out the back door of the blue tin and keep walking straight into the woods. Eventually you'll see a white circle on the ground, and there's usually items that spawn there. Place your beacon, wait for the timer, and then you can either die on Woods or complete the raid. For the shoreline marked circle, you're going to have to go to room 321 in the Eastern Health Resort wing. And it's really easy to find because there's candles outside the room and graffiti on the walls. And inside, in the room, is a dead scav with a pig head on. Plant your beacon next to the bathtub that he's laying in, and then die or leave the raid. And the last part of the task is on the customs map. You want to go to the 3-story dorm, and you're going to need the marked key. You're going to need to have a friend who has it, or you're going to have to wait for the door to be opened. Currently, as of January 5th, 2018, you can only get the marked key from killing scavs and looting their pockets and their backpacks. That's it. That was recently. I'm going to get a bunch of people that say, well, I got in a filing cabinet early. Yeah, it spawned there earlier, but they changed the spawns shortly after the 0.50 patch. So just be mindful of that. You're going to have to kill a lot of scavs if you want to do this on your own. But anyway, once you get the key or get somebody who has it, go to the 3-story dorms. At the very top on the northern side of the dorms, the final door, you'll see it with a bunch of candles and graffiti on the wall. Open up the door, plant the beacon, and die or leave the raid, and you've completed the cult part 2. And as of January 5th, you have completed all of the Peacekeeper tasks. So I hope you guys found this video informative. If you did, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Share this around to any of your friends that are struggling to complete these tasks, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Escape from Tarkov guides, videos, guns, gameplay, you name it, we got it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.